We were on the morning break on the second day of questioning of Mike Dell, the former Detective Chief Inspector of the Special Demonstration Squad from July 2001 until May 2005. This morning, he's been asked further questions about the investigation into James Thompson. Within it, he admitted that he was guilty of misference, a bunch of other offences, and that's why he was so angry with James Thompson and put him in that position. He said he risks his prosecution of himself and losing his pension, which, as far as a cop is concerned, is like the worst thing in the world. I'm with Evelyn Libbers of the Undercover Research Group. What have you made of what we've heard?
What can I say? It's quite difficult to follow, although he acknowledges a lot. Well, he says one thing 1 minute and then the opposite the next minute.
He's been very prone to contradictory statements within the same sentence sometimes.
But one of the main things is that he's still angry with Thompson, and he's still angry with himself because he thought Thompson had to be prosecuted.
It feels deeply performative, that I feel.
Yeah, and then he sort of blames himself for having been too angry back in the day, and that he now accepts this decision made by his superior that the operational security of the STS could not be risked by sentencing Thompson in any possible way.
Yeah, I mean, there was a very pointed intervention by John Mitting where he said, given that we know that the lack of formal disciplinary procedure meant that James Thompson was able to go on and continue to sexually abuse two women, do you still think it was the right thing not to formally discipline him in any way? To which Mike Dell was very clear. He said, yes, it was absolutely worth it. Those two women continued to be abused for many years because the operational security of the SDS was far more important. I mean, he didn't say it in those exact words, but that's exactly what he meant. That's exactly what he meant.
That's what it comes down to all the time. Whatever hindsight views he has and sort of understand that things were wrong and he should have done it differently. Every time, in the end, it comes down, the SDS could not be exposed, so we couldn't discipline officers for whatever they had done.
Yeah, and there's a line which Dell has been deploying on a regular basis this morning, which is a line he didn't use yesterday, which he said that he predicted this inquiry, that at the time he'd say, this is for the inquiry, that somehow that he was cognizant of the reality, he had a prescient idea that this was going to happen. It's a great line. I would have believed him a bit more if he'd have said it yesterday, but it feels like he thought it up overnight.
Yeah, and also, he couldn't reproduce where and when he had said it. Had he said it to officers in the STS when he told them not to be in sexual relation? No, it wasn't that. It was not at that moment. Maybe it was at the moment where he was giving a course, and he said he had only one slide, and that said. Whatever.
Well, if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he got very philosophical at that section and started saying, well, every police officer knows that all this is going to crash and burn one day. He started talking about the fact that the initial authorization for the SDS back in 1968 was signed not by a politician, not by a police officer, but by a permanent undersecretary to the Home Office, which, is a sign that it was a civil service authorized operation, which he said, well, it was very important that didn't come out because it would lead the police open to criticisms of a police state, which, I mean, quite. I'm
tempted to look up that document. We have it, I think, whether that is true at all, because I'm fairly sure that the Home Office knew about everything back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, his whole sort of is typical of the way he approaches the entire process. He's been quite arrogant. He has the impression of someone who thinks he's far cleverer than he actually is. He likes to intellectualize a lot of his answers. He keeps harking back to some sort of academic background that he had in the 80s, where he did a bunch of courses, and he foregrounds any sort of stock answer, which we've used up by other ones about not remembering or whatever else, going, you've heard it before, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say, and just sort of breaks it up. It doesn't make him sound more credible, I'm afraid.
No, and even when answering Sir Mitting, Sir in every third word, when asked, was it worth that the women were continued to be deceived for a long time, he didn't really answer it, but he started repeating.
I think he did very clearly.
Yeah. But he started with a long-winded answer about what all the other things that Thompson had done wrong. And sort of, I'm a bit disappointed that Sarah Hemingway, the barrister, didn't go into the abuse of the women a bit more, but then he claims he only had known that like much later on, so maybe we'll come to that later.
He claims he didn't know until July 2002 when the phone records were exposed, and it showed that the regular contact with him, Sarah, Elliot, and also Wendy, who he didn't sexually abuse but very close to. One of the things that was interesting that came up is that he said that he decided not to have any even an informal form of discipline against Thompson for the fact that he had an illegal firearm. Apparently, Thompson got hold of this firearm when it was given to him by a principal that he was a close protection officer for. So some sort of celebrity, dignitary, foreign dignitary possibly, one of the people who the special branch were doing a close protection job on and he was assigned to, gave him a revolver. It was around the time of the Dunblane massacre, so he hid it, he took it to France, he put it in a safe deposit box, and that was the revolver that he used in order to do the Operation Lime deception. Now, Mike Dell said he was fully aware of that, and he chose not to prosecute because he thought it was more serious, the fact that he had deceived his senior officers rather than owning an illegal firearm. Which, I mean, it again exposes the morality and the relativism of police around like criminal offences.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of talk about whether the case against L2 and L3 would be brought to court, and they continue to think about it a lot longer than they thought about whether they should bring Thompson to court.
There was a lot of all the documents after Operation Lime, until Thompson comes back from Indonesia, reference it. Once he comes back from Indonesia, it's never mentioned again, which shows that there was a decision at that point for those prosecutions not to go ahead. There was a lot of flapping and a lot of nonsense that came out of Dell around all that section. There was one point where he was asked a question, he gave a fluff answer, and then Sarah Hemingway brought up the document which showed that in fact he did know, and and he said, "Well, why are you asking me questions to things you already know about?" I mean, like, I'm sorry, is this your first day on Earth, Michael? What are you on about? This is a public inquiry. They are looking to establish the truth, and then part of that is to see if you're going to lie about things or not. You failed.
It's so very arrogant. Admitting won't like it. You know, like sort of being so impolite to the barrister is one thing you don't do as an inquiry, and you know, him being shown his own lies or his sort of inconsequential answers is very important in this, because he's just making up answers on the fly, basically.
Yeah, and I get the impression it's going to continue. We're about to go into a new area now. The break was slightly earlier because of that. Are you looking forward to anything that you might be asked about that?
Yes, this is going to be about 1881, and as we all know, he was or wasn't told to spy on Black family justice campaigns.
Most significantly, the Stephen Lawrence family justice campaign, which he did infiltrate as part of Movement for Justice, though there's a lot of fudge about how close he actually got to the family.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in how he's going to spin this bit.
Yeah. So in a short break, we better head back in. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Thanks for joining us. Please like these videos. There's 32 people watching. No one's liked it yet. Makes a huge difference to how visible this stuff is. There is one journalist here today, which is unusual, Simon Israel from of Channel 4 News. Hopefully he'll be filing a report about it at some point. I'll try and get him on one of these videos if I can. But other than that, the only time where you're going to get any media about these events is by following these videos and the posts on Twitter during the hearings themselves. So please follow and share.